People at my hospital call me the ninja nurse. And I want you to understand exactly why I cover every inch of my face before I tell you the rest of this. I wear a scarf around my head and neck, a face mask over that, leaving only my eyes, and dark sunglasses over even those. The older staff think it's modesty. The ones who have known me longer remember what I looked like 6 months ago, full makeup, hair done, almost 15,000 followers on Instagram, a woman who liked cameras pointed at her. Now I flinch the second anyone pulls one out. I haven't let anyone photograph me in 6 months. I need someone to understand why, even if I can only say it here. I've worked the night shift at a free hospital for 7 years, funded entirely by a corporation, plastered with the image of Florence Nightingale to remind us what sacrifice is supposed to look like. It treats the poorest people in the city for free, no questions asked. Night shift means the highest deaths and the strangest other duties. One of those duties is going through the pockets of patients who die unclaimed, trying to find some scrap of identity before they go into the ground as another nameless Jane or John Doe. It was an ordinary night when the first one came in, a malnourished man in his mid-40s. His chest had a spreading bluish discoloration. His eyes weren't red, they were a deep, wrong blue. His fingers were curled inward and would not straighten. Every 30 seconds his whole body jolted hard like something firing without a target. I had never seen anything like it in 7 years. Dr. Mala, our chief physician, happened to be nearby that night. He watched the man die in under 2 hours and wrote the cause of death himself, cardiorespiratory failure from cyanotic heart disease. He explained it all so calmly that I believed him completely. While going through the dead man's jacket, I found a crumpled Polaroid tucked in the lining. It was me, in my bathroom, brushing my hair, photographed through the window, completely unaware. On the back in jagged handwriting, "Looks different in real and real. How come? Need answers." I said nothing. I told no one. I went home and sat with every light on, reading those 2 lines until my eyes burned. I couldn't go to the police, where I live. That would make things worse, not better. I couldn't afford security cameras or a new apartment either. Everything I earn goes to my brother in college, my mother in cancer treatment, my quadriplegic father's full-time care. I just checked every lock in my apartment over and over and tried to sleep at the hospital instead. 2 nights later, a second patient arrived. Same symptoms exactly. Dr. Mala appeared again, timed it on his smartwatch, signed the same cause of death. In her clothing, another Polaroid. Me in my kitchen facing away from the camera, on the back. The nose is the first one to catch attention. Nose, 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 ha 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 ha. The pattern kept repeating every 2 or 3 days. Same symptoms, same 2-hour window, same certificate, and every single time another Polaroid closer, more intimate than the last. One of me checking my front door lock, taken through the gap underneath it. One of me waiting for the bus in broad daylight, surrounded by people, my stalker photographing me from across the street. That note just repeated the word lips 14 times. I counted. By the 5th Polaroid, I had been living inside the hospital for 2 days straight, sleeping in the nurse's room, never going home, telling myself the hospital was safe. That photo was taken of me dozing in my chair between patients. He had stood a few feet from me, inside a working hospital, and walked out without anyone noticing a thing. That was the one that broke me. I finally told Dr. Mala everything. He said it was outside his jurisdiction and handed me a number for the hospital's conduct hotline. I called at 2:30 in the morning. A man's voice answered, calm, warm, trained to sound like he was listening. I talked for 16 minutes straight. When I finally stopped, he said, "HR block, top floor, I'll be there in an hour." It was 3 in the morning. I went anyway. His name was Rafik. Young, composed, badge marking him as corporate, not hospital staff. He looked at the photos for a long time. Then he asked me to describe the patient's symptoms. I started to. He finished my sentences before I could. The blue chest, the curled fingers, the silent gasping. He described details I hadn't said yet. Then he asked where the patients were coming from. I told him the slum in the northern part of the city. I never told him that. I never had that information to give. He just smiled, told me to get some rest, and said my problem would be taken care of. For the next month it was no more Polaroids, fewer strange patients quietly rerouted to another block. I started sleeping at home again. I started feeling almost human again. Then came Eid. Skeleton crew. My block dead quiet, just me and a duty doctor who stepped out for coffee after midnight and never came back in time. That's when the ER doors slammed open. What walked in barely qualified as a man anymore. Shirtless, jeans stiff with old dried blood, drooling, chest heaving with visible effort. His eyes weren't blue this time. They were a flat, impossible green. Beneath the green-stained skin of his chest, I could actually see the outline of his heart, still beating, veins tracing dark green paths across it. He staggered toward me, smiling through the drool. "Real and real," he said. "Different indeed, I just wanted some fucking answers." I screamed and grabbed a scalpel off the nearest tray. He pressed a hand to his own chest. "This one's different, takes its time, like a body decomposing while the mind's still alive." He laughed like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. Then he vomited blood onto the floor, looked up at me, and screamed one word. "The face." He ran at me. I hit the corner of the room with nowhere left to go, and just kept screaming as his full weight slammed into me. He was lighter than I expected, weaker than I expected. He slid down my body to the floor, grip already failing, breathing already shallowing. He looked up at my face one last time, and something in his expression I still can't name. "Finish it, please," he gasped. I drove the scalpel into the center of his chest, into that pulsating outline of his heart. He smiled as he died. I remember fragments after that, staff flooding in, Dr. Mala arriving within minutes like he'd been waiting close by, and at the far end of the corridor, just before my vision went dark, Rafik standing there watching. The official story became simple. A delirious, possibly schizophrenic patient with undiagnosed heart disease attacked a nurse on duty. She defended herself. Case closed within a week. The security cameras had malfunctioned exactly 4 minutes before he arrived. The duty doctor had conveniently been on break. The security guard had conveniently been asleep. Every witnessing patient from that night vanished afterward, untraceable, the way people from that part of the city always seem to be. 2 nurses working the adjacent blocks resigned within days and stopped answering their phones entirely. I was given 30 days paid leave. Nobody ever took my statement. That's why I cover my face now. That's why I never let anyone take my picture. I have theories about what that hospital is really being used for, and what Rafik's real job is, and what those patients were actually dying from. I've been carrying them alone for 6 months. But my shift starts soon, and the workload has only gotten worse. The strange cases have come back, except now the discoloration isn't blue anymore. It's pitch black, and they're no longer taking 2 hours to die. The current average is 22.5 minutes. I know the exact number because Dr. Mala still times every single one of them. He doesn't even bother hiding it anymore.